Radha Shivasadi. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we're going to continue today to speak from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 16, Text 12. Does anyone remember what we read yesterday?
Hare Krishna. We read that Harsha Shok was giving them the knowledge. And he said that just as the goal, because he was revived by Narad Muni for a few hours that was left in his body. So he was revived by Narad Muni, and then he gives knowledge to everybody assembled there. And then we continued from there. And then he said that just as the gold and money is transferred from one hand to another in the due course of sale and purchase, in the same way, the Jiva, the Atma, is wandering throughout the universe. And as a result of his fruitive activities, they keep on entering different species, and he become child to different fathers and in different bodies. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu insisted that Brahmande Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Bhakti Lata Beach Paye Guru Prasade Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Beach. And that means that getting parents is natural. And in any body, we will get our parents. But getting the spiritual master and Krishna is very, very rare. And by getting them, we can go back home, back to Godhead. And then later, he also mentioned that Dehino Smithin Smith Dehe Komaram Yovanam Zara. So that means that the embodied soul, the Jiva, is continuously passing in this body from boyhood to youth to old age. And therefore, the bodily dress is impermanent and the living entity is eternal. And then Prabhupada also insisted that as Citraketu lived as his father for some time, but as soon as he was transferred, that Harsha Shoka was transferred to another body, the affectionate relationship of father and son was broken. And he was the Harsha Shoka was no longer lamenting. Only now we know Citraketu was lamenting. And then more knowledge was given about, and then he said, that living entity is eternal. And it is only the body that is born or lost. And then the living entity, as long as he is in the body, the relationship exists with the father and the mother. And as soon as he dies, the relationship too finishes and it dies. And then you also mentioned that these are all the illusionary relationships, as we are the soul and not the body. And therefore the Jiva should not lament of this illusion. He should not be lamenting about it. And then you also mentioned about Bheda Bheda, Achintya Bheda Bhed Tattva, that's simultaneously one and different. That, like you said, that we come under the, it is natural for us that there is heat and there is cold and there is the smallest and then there has to be the greatest. And although we are superior energy, but we get covered by Maya because our size is very, very small. And then Abheda Bhed Tattva is that we are part and parcel of Krishna, and Krishna is Paramatma, and soul is only 1/10,000th of the tip of the hair. So we can see that it is our desire why we have come into this material world, because it is our desire to enjoy the material world. So we are brought here, and then our desires are fulfilled by the agency of Maya, agency called Maya. And then Krishna gives us the free will to be in the spiritual world or to be in the material world. And we chose material world. And then Krishna comes back again and again to give us instructions to come back to Godhead. And just as in every field of knowledge, we go to expert for the knowledge and we ask for them, then in this, we go to the spiritual master, and then they say that we are the soul and we are not the body. And then by the mercy of the Narad Muni, the Harsha Shoka was speaking all this knowledge. He was giving us such a knowledgeable instructions that due to only by the mercy of Srimad Narad Muni. And then he also said that later in the next explanation, Prabhupada also mentioned that we are the part and parcel and we have same qualities, but in a minute degree. For Lord, he has no friends and no enemies, but he feels equally to everyone as he is not covered by ignorance. As we are covered by ignorance, so we react differently to our friends and our enemies, but Krishna does not. And his consciousness is not covered by ignorance or Maya. He is always pure. And then this was also mentioned that just like a father treats all his children equally, as one wants to be with the father and the other goes away. So it's at the degree of the child that how he reacts. Then same with the Supreme Lord. A devotee who is always remembering him is most dear to him. But he also liberated Hiranyakashipu, who was behaving not in a proper way to his devotee, but he liberated him also. And then Krishna is the witness of all the activities, and he's in our heart. And so he understands all of our desires, and he protects a devotee, and he only observes for a normal human being, for the other jivas, he only observes as a sakshi and give them the result according to their pap and punya karma. And then we also read that Krishna is not affected by duality. He's a whole. So we come under the control of Maya, and Krishna never comes under the control of Maya. And that is the difference, that he's not affected by duality. And then Krishna says that he is overseer and the permitter in everyone's heart, and he is Paramatma. So we may get the desire to become neutral like Supreme Lord, and we should take his shelter. For that, we should take his shelter because he's the supreme neutral person. And then Citraketu, for Citraketu Maharaj, it is not easy to be neutral at this time, and not lament for his young son death. But he was advised to take shelter of Krishna, depend upon Krishna, and at the same time engage in the devotional service, just like as the judge takes the action, but he never gets affected. We have this quality of being neutral, just like Krishna. So how can we remain neutral? We have to just take shelter of Krishna. And as we are conditioned, and Citraketu is advised to take shelter of Krishna and only depend on Krishna for the result of his actions. So we finished here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So we are going to continue with text 12. Shri Bhadarayane Ruvacha.
Shri
Bhadarayane Uvacha
Iti Udirya Gato Jivo.
Iti
Udarya Gaddo Jivo
Gyatayastasya te tada.
Gyatayastasya te tada
Vismita Mumuchu Shokam.
Vismita
Shokam
Chitvatma Sneha Shrinkhalam.
Shritva
Vatma Shrinkhala.
Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Sri Sukadev Goswami continued, when the conditioned soul Jiva, in the form of Mara Citraketu's son, had spoken in this way and then left, Citraketu and the other relatives of the dead son were all astonished. Thus they cut off the shackles of their affection, which was due to their relationship with him, and gave up their lamentation. Because now they are seeing that, oh, the son that we are lamenting for, he himself is not attached. So they also gave up their lamentation. Nirhritya gyatayo gyater.
Gyater
Deham kritvochita kriyaha.
Deham kritvochataha kriyaha
Tatyajur dustyajam sneham.
Tatyajam sneham
Shoka moha bhayartidam.
Shoka moha bhayatidam.
After the relatives had discharged their duties by performing the proper funeral ceremonies and burning the dead child's body, they gave up the affection that leads to illusion, lamentation, fear, and pain. Such affection is undoubtedly difficult to give up, but they gave it up very easily. Balagyo Vriditastatra
Balagyo Vridita Tatra
Balahatya Hata Prabha
Balahatya
Prabha
Balahatya Vritam Cherur
Balahatya Cheru
Brahmaner Yannirupitam
Brahmane
Nirupitam
Yamunayam Maharaja
Yamunayam Maharaja
Smarantyo Dvijabhashitam.
Vijabhasitam
Queen Krityoduti's co-wives who had poisoned the child were very much ashamed, and they lost all their bodily luster. While lamenting, O king, they remembered the instructions of Angira, and gave up their ambition to bear children. Following the directions of the Brahmanas, they went to the bank of the Yamuna, where they bathed and atoned for their sinful activities. In this verse, the word Bal Hatya Hata Prabha is to be particularly noted. The practice of killing children has existed in human society for a long time, since time immemorial. But in the days of yore, it was very rarely performed. At the present moment, however, in this age of Kali, abortion, killing of the child within the womb, has become very common. And sometimes a child is even killed after birth. If a woman performs such an abominable act, she gradually loses all her bodily luster. Bala Hatya Hata Prabha. It is also to be noted that the ladies who had committed the sinful act of administering poison to the child were very much ashamed. And according to the directions of the Brahmanas, they had to undergo atonement for killing the child. Any woman who has ever performed such an infamously sinful act must atone for it. But no one now is doing that. Under the circumstances, the women responsible must suffer in this life and the next. Those who are sincere souls, after hearing this incident, should refrain from such child killing and should atone for their sinful activities by taking to Krishna consciousness very seriously. If one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without offenses, all of one's sinful actions are surely atoned for immediately. But one should not commit such deeds again, for that is an offense. So Prabhupada is taking this opportunity to speak about the current situation of society. He's saying that before, also certainly there were people who had killed children, but it was rarely performed. But now it is very openly performed as killing the child in the womb. So Prabhupada is recommending that how the women, they went for atonement. Similarly, we should also atone if we are responsible for such activities. And the atonement is taking up Krishna consciousness, chanting Hare Krishna. So, go on. Sa itam prati bhudatma Citraketur Bijoktibihi
Vijoktibihi
Rahanda Kupan Nishkranta Tara Pankad Iva Dvipaha.
Pankad iva dvipaha.
Thus enlightened by the instructions of the Brahmanas, Angira and Narad, Citraketu become fully aware of spiritual knowledge. As an elephant becomes free from a muddy reservoir of water, King Citraketu came out of the dark well of family life. So we can see how the association of Angira Muni and Narad Rishi, now Citraketu has become enlightened. Now he's given up his attachment. No more lamenting. Kalindyam vidhivat snatva
Kalan
Indyam vidhivat snatva
krita punya jala kriyaha
punya jala
jalakriyaha
maunena samyata prano
mone
samyata prana
brahma putra avandata.
Brahmaputra
Brahmaputra avandata.
The king bathed in the water of the Yamuna, and according to prescribed duties, he offered oblations of water to the forefathers and demigods. Very gravely controlling his senses and mind, he then offered his respects and obeisances to the sons of Lord Brahma, Angira and Narad. Atha tasmai prapannaya
atha
Tasmai prapannaya
bhaktaya prayatatmane
bhaktaya prayatatmane
Bhagavan Narada Prito
Bhagavan
Narada prito
Vidyam etam avachaha.
Vidyam
yam etam ivachaha.
Thereafter, being very much pleased with Citraketu, who was a self-controlled devotee and surrendered soul, Narad, the most powerful sage, spoke to him the following transcendental instructions. Om Namastubhyam Bhagavate
Om Namastubhyam
Stubhyam bhagavate
Vasudevaya Dhimahi
Vasudevaya
Vasudevaya dhimahi
Pradyumnaya Niruddhaya
Pradyumnaya
Pradyumnaya
Vidyaya
Niruddhaya
Namaha Sankarshanaya Cha
Namaha
Namaha Sankarshanaya
Sankarshanaya
cha
Namo Vijnana Matraya
Namo
Vijnana
Vijnana
Matraya
Paramananda Murtaye
Param Ananda
Paramanandamurtaye
Atma Ramaya Shantaya
Atmaramaya
Ramaya
Shantaya
Shantaya
Nivrita Dvaita Drishtaye.
Nivrita
Nivrita Dvaita Drishtaye.
Narad gave Citraketu the following mantra. O Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, who are addressed by the Omkar Pranava, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. O Lord Vasudev, I meditate upon you. O Lord Pradyumna, Lord Anirudh, and Lord Sankarshan, I offer you my respectful obeisances. O reservoir of spiritual potency, O supreme bliss, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who are self-sufficient and most peaceful. O ultimate truth, one without a second, you are realized as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, and are therefore the reservoir of all knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that he is the Pranava Sarva Vedeshu, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. So Narad Muni is also saying that he's addressing that, oh Lord, you are addressed as with the Omkar Pranava. And Krishna himself also is saying in Bhagavad Gita that when people are saying Om, they are referring to me. They don't know that. So in transcendental knowledge, the Lord is addressed as Pranava Omkar, which is a symbolic representation of the Lord in sound. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudev, who is an expansion of Narayan, expands himself as Pradyumna, Anirudh, and Sankarshan. From Sankarshan comes a second Narayan expansion, and from this Narayan come further expansions of Vasudev, Pradyumna, Sankarshan, and Anirudh. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining the Chaturvyuha, how the Chaturvyuha come. So Lord Balaram is there, and then Lord Balaram is expanding as Narayan. Then from Narayan expands as Pradyumna, Anirudh, Vasudev, Sankarshan. Then Sankarshan is expanding as Narayan. Again, from this Narayan coming the second Chaturvyuha. Vasudev, Pradyumna, Sankarshan, and Anirudh. The Sankarshan in this group is the original cause of the three Purushas, namely Karanodakshai Vishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Shirodakshai Vishnu. So it's from this second Chaturvyuha expansion of Sankarshan in this second Chaturvyuha, he expands as Mahavishnu. The Karanodakshai Vishnu, then Karanodakshai Vishnu expands as Garbhodakshai, then as Shirodakshai, the Paramatma. Shirodakshai Vishnu is situated in every universe in a special planet called Shvetadvip. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita. Andantarastha, the word anda means this universe. Within this universe is a planet called Shvetadvip, where Shirodakshai Vishnu is situated. From him come all the incarnations within this universe. So the Shirodakshai Vishnu, he's the Paramatma. He's in our heart, he's in every atom of the universe, and he's living in every universe. He has a planet called Shvetadvip. There he lives there. And it's from this Shirodakshai Vishnu that all the incarnations are coming. Lord Ramachandra, Matsya, Varaha. Whenever there is needed in any universe for any incarnation, it's from this Shirodakshai Vishnu. Incarnations are coming. Whenever Lord Brahma sees that there is something in the universe he can't manage, then he goes with the principal demigods, the other main demigods. He goes to the Shvetadvip and offers prayers to Lord Vishnu, to Shirodakshai Vishnu there. And sometimes they can see Shirodakshai Vishnu, sometimes they can't see, only hear him. So as confirmed in the Brahma Samhita, all these forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are Advaita, non-different, and they are also Achyuta, infallible. They do not fall down like the conditioned souls. So all the expansions of Krishna, all the Vishnu expansions, they never fall down. They're all Vishnu Tattva, non-different, because God is just his different forms. It's inconceivable for us, but they are all his expansions, but God is one. They're not many, they're not two gods, only one God, but he has many expansions. The ordinary living entity is prone to falling into the clutches of Maya, but the Supreme Lord in his different incarnations and form is Achyuta, infallible. Therefore, his body is different from the material body possessed by the conditioned soul. So Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, his different incarnations never take a material body. Whenever they always have a spiritual body. Even when they come to the material world, they are coming in their own spiritual body. They never take a material body. That's why they are called infallible, achyuta, never failing. The word matra is explained in the Medini dictionary as follows. Matra karna vibhushayam vite mane parichade. The word matra in its different imports is used to indicate the decoration of the ear, possession, respect, and the possession of a covering. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.14, Matra sparshas tu kaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkada, agama payino nityastam statikshasva bharata. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, and their disappearance in due course, are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O sign of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So here Srila Prabhupada, because the word matra is coming, so he's also quoting what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita about tolerance. So Krishna is saying that happiness and distress will keep on coming, just as happiness comes by itself. Distress comes by itself. Happiness will also come by itself. We don't work to get suffering, but it still comes. Similarly, happiness will also come by itself, just as winter and summer seasons come by themselves. So Krishna is saying tolerate. Tolerate without being disturbed. Tolerance. So Tolerance, not very easy, but it's certainly a quality that we need to cultivate. Tolerance. Because like, for example, Citraketu is lamenting so much. So then even in such a difficult circumstance, have to learn to tolerate. So tolerance, then we can tolerate when we can take shelter of Krishna, when we can depend on him. In the conditioned state of life, the body is used as our dress. And as one needs different dresses during the summer and winter, we conditioned souls are changing bodies according to our desires. However, because the body of the Supreme Lord is full of knowledge, it needs no covering. The idea that Krishna's body is like ours, in other words, that his body and soul are different, is a misunderstanding. There is no such differences for Krishna because his body is full of knowledge. So we, spirit souls, we are the soul and we are inside this material body. We have taken this dress, this covering of a material body. Why? Because it's our desire to enjoy the material world. You know, just like we want to go scuba diving. So we have to wear some particular kind of attire, special type of diving equipment to be able to go inside the ocean. Only then we'll be able to go inside the ocean. So now similarly, we are spirit soul, but we have desire to enjoy this material world. And because of that, we have taken this material dress. Krishna never takes a material dress. There's no difference between his body and soul. There's no inside, outside like that for Krishna. No, his body is always eternal. Sat, Chit, Ananda. So full of knowledge. Here we receive material bodies because of a lack of knowledge. But because Krishna Vasudeva is full of knowledge, there's no difference between his body and his soul. So we are ignorant. We want to desire to enjoy this material world. So we are given this different types of bodies, 8,400,000. The different desires that we have to enjoy this material world in different ways. So we are given these different bodies. Krishna remembers what he said 40 million years ago to the sun god, but an ordinary being cannot remember what he said the day before yesterday. This is the difference between Krishna's body and our body. Therefore, the Lord is addressed as Vijnana Matraya Paramananda Murtaye. We forget. We can't even remember what we did yesterday, but Krishna can remember. He remembers whatever has happened in the past, and he knows the future also. Here, Citraketu's son, he left the body, so he's like, I can't remember who you are. Forget, completely forget. Because the Lord's body is full of knowledge, he always enjoys transcendental bliss. Indeed, his very form is Paramananda. This is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra, Anandamaya Vyasa. By nature, the Lord is Anandamaya. Whenever we see Krishna, he is full of Ananda in all circumstances. No one can make him morose. Atma Ramaya, he does not need to search for external enjoyment because he's self-sufficient. So Krishna, he's killing demons. There's no stress on his face, he's still smiling. He's always happy, self-sufficient. Shantaya, no anxiety. He has no anxiety. One who has to seek pleasure from other sources is always full of anxiety. Karmis, jnanis, and yogis are full of anxiety because they want something. But a devotee does not want anything. He is simply satisfied in the service of the Lord, who is fully blissful. So just as the Lord is blissful, his devotee is also blissful. Just as the Lord has no anxiety, his devotee has also no anxiety. We get anxiety because we are looking for something other than Krishna. We are looking for ways to find pleasure in this material world. So then that's what causes our anxiety, our stress. Nivritta Dvaita Drishtaye, in our conditioned life, our bodies have different parts, but although Krishna apparently has different bodily parts, no part of his body is different from any other part. Krishna can see with his eyes, and Krishna can see without his eyes. Therefore, in the Shveteshvatara Upanishad, it is said, Pashyati achakshu. Achakshu. He can see with his hands and legs. He does not need a particular bodily part to perform a particular action. Angani yasya saklendriya vrittimanti. He can do anything he desires with any part of his body, and therefore he's called Almighty. You know, we, with our hands, we can only do the work of our hands. Our hands cannot do the work of our mouth or of our eyes. But Krishna, all his bodily parts can do any work. Krishna can see with his, he can eat with his eyes. We offer food to the deity. He sees the food and he eats it through his eyes. But we can't. We can't only look at the food and feel nourished and healthy and satisfied. Our hunger does not get satiated just by looking at food. We have to put the food in our mouth. So there's a difference between us and Krishna. And here we are understanding that Krishna's body, his form, is transcendental. It's not material. Comments, questions?
So many qualities.
So many qualities, yeah.
Yeah.
એડો આવાજ ઘટ્ટ બુધણો નથો છે ફોન આડો આ બેકાર.
I had to unmute Auntie Rashmi. Okay, so we are going to go on. Atma Nandanubhutyeva
Atmanandanubhutya
Nyasta Shakti Urmaye Namaha
Yashta Shakti Urmaye Namaha
Rishikeshaya Mahate
Rishikeshaya Mahate
Namaste Nantamurtaye.
Namaste
Anantamurtaye.
Anantamurtaye.
Are you all able to hear me all right? I think Auntie Rashmi was not able to hear well, is it?
Yeah, we can
Is
hear
it-
you. Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear
Yeah, the
you.
volume
Yeah.
is okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So perceiving your personal bliss, you are always transcendental to the waves of material nature. Therefore, my Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. You are the supreme controller of the senses, and your expansions of form are unlimited. You are the greatest, and therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So Narad Muni is teaching these prayers to Citraketu Maharaj. This verse analytically differentiates the living entity from the Supreme Lord. The form of the Lord and the form of the conditioned soul are different because the Lord is always blissful, whereas the conditioned soul is always under the threefold miseries of the material world. It's true, no? We have all these miseries that surround us, miseries of body, mind, other living entities, or forces of nature, but the Supreme Lord always blissful, always. The Supreme Lord is Sachidananda Vigraha. He derives Ananda bliss from his own self. The Lord's body is transcendental, spiritual. But because the conditioned soul has a material body, he has many bodily and mental troubles. We are not able to understand, actually, this body is a source of great pain for us, great suffering. The mind, our material mind, is a source of pain and suffering. So we have bodily and mental troubles. The conditioned soul is always perturbed by attachment and detachment, whereas the Supreme Lord is always free from such dualities. The Lord is the supreme master of all the senses, whereas the conditioned soul is controlled by the senses. So here Prabhupada is listing out so many differences between the Lord and us. So we are in the duality, but Krishna never gets into duality. Krishna does not have to deal with attachment and detachment. He is completely self-satisfied. Has nothing to do with anything external. He is the master of the senses, whereas we are controlled by our senses. The Lord is the greatest, whereas the living entity is the smallest. The living entity is conditioned by the waves of material nature, but the Supreme Lord is transcendental to all actions and reactions. Krishna never gets any karma. We get implicated in karma. Why? Because we have a desire to enjoy the material world. That's the reason we get implicated in karma. Krishna is aloof from the material energy. The expansions of the Supreme Lord's body are innumerable. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. But the conditioned soul is limited to only one form. Krishna expands. He has so many expansions, yet he is one. We just have one. We are not unlimited. We are minute. 1/10,000, the tip of the hair. From history, we learn that a conditioned soul by mystic power can sometimes expand into 8 forms, but the Lord's bodily expansions are unlimited. So a mystic yogi can expand 8 times, but not unlimitedly. Unlimited is only Krishna. This means that the bodies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead have no beginning and no end, unlike the bodies of the living entities. So many differences. Let's see. What are the differences? Anyone?
About the indriyas, that Krishna, he's the master of all the senses, but we are controlled by our senses.
Okay, so now Deepika, you give another one.
He's Sachidanand Vigraha. He's always happy.
And we?
We have our reactions and we suffer due to we act and react.
Okay, so because we have a material body, so we get by the miseries. This is what you're saying, right? Okay,
Yes,
he's always happy
have,
because he has a transcendental body.
Yeah.
We have material body. So one is that we are controlled by the senses. Krishna is the controller of the senses. Okay, Auntie Rashmi,
Yes.
are you going to give us one? आप बताएंगे? No?
She's mute, so she may not know,
mute.
I think.
Yeah, that's true.
She may not know. Yeah.
She may not know, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So Neha,
So
you
the
want to give
next-
another one?
Yeah. Krishna never gets karma. He's not implicated by karma, but we get implicated by karma as we want to enjoy. So that's why we get with the jivas,
right.
the bad jivas. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Deepika, any more?
Yeah, we are attached, but he's detached. We are in high
Well, he's
affection.
neutral.
Yeah,
that's
he's
right.
neutral.
He's neutral. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no attachment, detachment for him. He's neutral.
Yeah.
We get attached and detached. Yeah. Any
And
more?
then Krishna is Virat, and we are very small.
That's right. He's unlimited.
And,
we are minute. Yeah.
And some mystic, by some mystic powers, some souls can have expansions 8 times, but Lord has bodily expansions that are unlimited.
Unlimited.
We can have many expansions. Yeah.
That's right. So we can see there's a difference between us and God, and yet we try to compete with him.
Yeah.
You know? There is a difference between Krishna and us. So this is what we need to understand. Okay, thank you so much. Vachasi
Yes.
uparate prapya.
Vachasi uprate aprapya.
Ya eko manasa saha.
Ya eko manasa saha.
Anama rupas chinmatra.
Anamarupaschinmatra.
So vyana sad asat paraha.
So avyat
sad asat paraha.
The words and mind of the conditioned soul cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for material names and forms are not applicable to the Lord, who is entirely spiritual, beyond the conception of gross and subtle forms. The impersonal Brahman is another of his forms. May he, by his pleasure, protect us. The impersonal Brahman, which is the effulgence of the Lord, is described in this verse. So we may try to understand the Lord with our mind without hearing about him. But we won't be able to get his real position. It's only when we hear about God that we can understand him. Without hearing about him, how we will be able to understand? It'll be just mental speculation. Like for example, if there's Suppose we haven't been to America, and in our mind we keep thinking maybe it's like that, maybe like that. But if we hear about America from someone who has been there, then we can know, right? So similarly about the Lord is like that. So the Lord is, of course, spiritual, not material, but just to give an example. So Narad Muni is saying, may he bless us and protect us. Okay, we'll quickly read one more. Yasmin idam yataschedam
Yasmin
idam
yatah
yataschedam
tishtati apyeti jayate
tishtati
tishtati apyati jayate
mrinmayesha iva mritjatis
nirmayeshva eva mrijates
tasmai te brahmane namaha.
tasmai te brahmane namaha.
As spots made completely of earth are situated on earth after being created and are transformed into earth again when broken, this cosmic manifestation is caused by the Supreme Brahman, situated in the Supreme Brahman, and annihilated in the same Supreme Brahman. Therefore, since the Supreme Lord is the cause of Brahman, let us offer him our respectful obeisances. The Supreme Lord is the cause of the cosmic manifestation. He maintains it after creation, and after annihilation, the Lord is the reservoir of everything. So Krishna creates everything. All the elements are created by him. This world is being maintained by him, and it will be destroyed by him. It's the Supreme Lord, cause of all causes, sarva karana karanam, as Lord Brahma says in the Brahma Samhita. Comments? Anything to add?
Just that, like how we have seen that Krishna is so merciful, that like how we also read previously, right? That how even to Indradev, he was so merciful that they didn't ask for anything, but then he was feeling sad for them that, he could have. So now here again, Citraketu Maharaj is being instructed by Narad Muni to how to offer praise. They offering prayers, right? And Narad Muni is teaching him how to offer. So just prayers are so important and so powerful that if we just offer prayers to Krishna, no matter, sometimes we don't know the proper vidhi of doing our puja and everything, we might not know that, but that's okay. Krishna just says that you just offer prayers. That's okay. And if you cannot create your own, doesn't matter. Just repeat the prayers of the acharyas that is being given in the books. So it is so powerful. Because the name of the chapter is that Citraketu ki Parameshwar se bhet. So that was only because of the association, definitely, of Narad Muni, because he's a great, great devotee. But also the way that he told to offer prayers, and offering prayers are so important. Trisandhyam, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I think that offering prayers are really important.
Yes, it is one of the anga of bhakti, no?
Yeah, one of the anga.
Yes.
But very powerful.
Darshanam. Yes,
right?
one of the anga. Just Akrur, by offering prayers, he got perfection.
Yes.
Vandanam. So,
Vandanam.
yes, it is. As hearing, chanting is a part or is a limb of bhakti. Offering prayers is also a limb of bhakti. Yes, thank you so much for pointing out this important thing. And offering prayers and repeating and learning the prayers that are offered by the great devotees, certainly we can imbibe the mood. We can learn from the devotees how to offer prayers to the Lord. We can understand what is the mood of the devotee. We can try to understand the position of the Lord when we are hearing the prayers of the great devotees. And Srimad Bhagavatam is full of prayers by different great personalities, Lord Shiva, Kunti Devi. Now we are hearing Narad Muni. There's so many.
How beautifully you mentioned about the differences in one of the purports. The differences are mentioned, and then we can just offer it to Krishna. Oh Krishna, you are neutral, but we get attached. You are unlimited, oh Krishna. you're not getting impacted by the karma, but the Baddha Jivas, we want to enjoy the world, and so we are covered with all our karmas. So Krishna, please help us. So, like, it is just that we are reading and the prayers are there. Like, this is the prayer, definitely. But, like, how we can offer it at the lotus feet of Krishna.
Yes, wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much. We'll stop here for today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.